Hello everyone, welcome back to the Board Game Specialists. I'm Carla.
And I'm Melanie.
And this is episode 45, and tonight we are talking about games we would give as gifts. So how did you go about this one, Melanie?
You know what? I struggled with this one. Now, I give gifts, like board game for gifts, all the time. I got into like the tradition of doing a gift basket, but it's like a game night in a box, basically. So there's always one or two board games, and then there's snacks and like specialty hot chocolates or drinks and stuff like that. So I just make like a whole basket of it. And I just find that's kind of an easier, kind of more fun way to present a game to like friends and families and stuff. So I kind of considered who I would buy for myself and what would be gifts that either I have given or I would like to give and that would fit for them. How about you? How did you come about that?
I like that idea, the gift basket, because then it's like a
Feel free to
whole
steal
evening, right?
I too like gift basket. No kidding.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a gift basket? It makes it look
Right?
even better. You know, you can put junk in, but if you make it look good,
Yeah,
it's fun. I kind of, how I did my list was, it was a lot of games that I thought could appeal to the mass, like most people. I have a few on here that are maybe a little more complicated for just everyone, but most of them I think could be played by even non-gamers or just people who are casual gamers or whatnot. But before we get into that list, what have you been playing lately?
So, last Friday I had a game night. My friend Allison came over and we played Chronicles of Crime 1900. And it's funny because I knew she would love it and she'd never played the Chronicles of Crime. And I was like, okay, I'm going to save this one to play with you. And then it just never worked out. Like Chronicles of Crime, you could play solo or you could play up to, I don't know what it says on the box here, but I'm just checking here real quick. It says 1 to 4. You know what? It's best at 2. Because then when you're doing 2, you have one that's reading all the things that are coming up. The other one can pull the cards and it works. It at 3, I find you have one person kind of like, well, can I look at the cards? Or well, can I, like, you know, where you're kind of stranglers. And then at 4, it's too much. I like it at 2. But every time she'd be over, we weren't just the two of us, so we didn't play it until finally this week. And then we played it, and it's just so neat the way it works, how you scan the card. So you scan a character that is on site where you're at. And then like, oh, okay, how can I help? Whatever. And then you can go and scan, well, what do you know about the murder weapon? So you scan the murder weapon to get their opinion on it. Or what do you know about this person? Or what do you know about this situation? And you can kind of interrogate them. It's just like you're discovering the story as you go. It's so story driven and it's so neat. I love this series. And then she really liked it too, like I knew she would. So it was great. And then I finally played Crave. You lent that to me a few weeks ago. And then it was another thing. We kept having more than 2 players, which is a 2-player game. And then yesterday, my kid wanted something. Oh, he needed to update the credit card information for his Xbox Live account. So I was like, well, I think that's worth the gameplay. So we played Crave. I was the vampires. And I would like to say it was a real tight game. It wasn't all that much. I think he still had like 20 health when I died. And I'm like, oh. And I was like, maybe I wasn't playing this right. But then the manufacturer of the game's like, yeah, no, you were doing that right. I was like, all right, fine. Then the loss was legit. So yeah, no, he got me. But it was really neat. Definitely has a strong Star Realms element to it. This very similar mechanism where you'll have some characters that kind of stays behind and kind of like the starship that you would have or the space station that you would have in Star Realms. But the cards didn't get kind of trashed as much as they did in Star Realms. When you kill those, they just go back into your discard pile. And the pictures, like the artwork was great. It was very thematic. I really enjoyed that one. So those are the 2 main ones that I've played this week. How about you, Carla? What did you play?
Well, I got to play Birdwatchers. I think I had mentioned it last time, but I'll just talk about the play. So this one I had bought used and more so bought to just compare to Wingspan because some people have compared it to it. Some have liked it more and some less. I don't think it's at all like Wingspan, other than the theme alone. It's a card tableau building game, which I guess could be similar, but it's completely different. It's way lighter and quicker, but it's really neat. You you start with these trees in front of you, and you can have up to 6 birds in your tree, and that's on top of your player board. And what you're trying to do is bring them into your journal, because you're writing about them, I believe, or like pictures of them. And it is pictures, because one action is actually taking a picture. So what you're doing is, when you put them in your journal, you want to put them in sets of the same type of bird, because the more you have, the more points you'll get. And if you ever split them up by adding another card, because you have to go from left to right when you add these cards. So you take a picture of a bird. While you take a picture, you scare another one away. So it's like you have to pay a bird for a bird, but it's thematic that way, where you startle them because of the flash, and so they fly away into the clearing, and they're startled, so you can't get them back that round, because you have 3 actions that you can use each turn. So one action is taken up if you take a picture. So you have a bird that you can put in your journal, and then you startle one. Another thing you can do is, there's 2 tableaus in the middle for everyone, and one is a jungle, and that just has some birds in it, and one is a clearing. So you can run into the jungle and scare all the birds out of there, because you want to take pictures of them. So they all fly out into the clearing, and that's when you can just take one of them if you want. It's called a bird call. So you're calling all type of one bird from the jungle and the clearing. They'll all come into your tree. Another thing you can do is you can use this photo lens, this zoom lens, and you can actually take a picture of another person's bird in their tree and put it right into your journal. So it's kind of like stealing their bird.
That is so cool.
But the theme, how they did behind it, is I just found so neat. I'm like, that's so clever, because, you're just zooming in and click, gone. It's out of your tree and it's in my journal. Another thing you can do is get these publications. So these are kind of like end game scoring, or like a cool like bonus right now that you have to use, and you would put that straight into your journal, and that takes 2 actions. And so if you did that, then you would end whatever set you had there, because you are going to build up to, depending on player count, 14 to 16 cards. So as soon as you've put in a different type of bird next to it, that collection is finished. You can't add to it again. So there's certain ways like you have to put them in there. And then the publications will add points for you at the end. They all have some books on them, and whoever has the most books at the end gets points. Whoever has the least loses points. There's also, some of the birds have insects on them. So you might have like an ant or a ladybug or a butterfly. And those are another set collection thing that you want to have different types. But you can also use them for different actions. So if you have 2 different insects, you can pay them and take a whole extra action. So it's just like a lighter, very light to medium card game, but it's really neat, and the mechanics I thought were really cool. So that one will be staying, and I don't believe... Cool. Yeah, I won't say it's better than Wingspan. Wingspan's a bit of a longer thought out game, but this one it's still very neat and a quicker play. Another one we played is called Sleuth. Now, this is an old game by Sid Saxon. I think it was like, I can't remember the year of it, but it was 80s maybe even 70s. And this is a deduction game. And it's, all you're trying to do is figure out what gem is, like, in Clue, when you take certain cards out, you put them in the envelope, and that's what you're trying to guess. Well, all you do is you shuffle these cards, you pull out one gem, and you stick it underneath something. And then you all have these hands of cards of different gems, and you either have like solitaire, pairs, or what are they called? The groupings of them. Like it's a clusters. But then you have all different types of gems. You have diamonds, opals, pearls, and all different things. And then so you have these question cards in front of you, and then on your turn, so you might have like 10 cards in your hand, and you'll have this little piece of paper, and you'll mark off what you have, because that's not the gem that's under that you're trying to find. So then on your turn, you will ask each other player. You have some questions in front of you. You might say, okay, Melanie, how many solitaire pearls do you have? And there's all different colors too. So you have 4 different colors, 4 different types of gems, and then 3 different groupings of them. And so whatever you have to show me the cards. The other people don't see what you're showing me, but they can see how many cards you're showing me. So it's just a deduction, and I will mark off what you're showing me. But you get to the point where you're like, okay, so now she's showing her one card, one solitaire, and I only have one left on here, so I know that's the one. So you have to deduce other people's turns without seeing the cards. So it's sort of like a clue, but basically like narrowed down to just like gems and just like, you know, colors, shapes, and numbers of them. And we really liked it. We played it a couple times. I have played it with my kids before, and they loved it, actually. And it's just a very simple rule deduction game, but it is like probably the base of how they all started. Like I don't know if it was made before Clue, but I feel like it was, and that maybe was built off this game. But it was really fun, and it's something you guys should all give a try if you can. The last game I want to talk about is I finally got my Christmas tree game to the table. I had tried to buy this game last November-ish, or probably started in September, and it was coming out, or getting back in stock, and it didn't get back in stock till January. So I bought it, and then it sat on my shelf till now because nobody would want to play a Christmas game with me throughout the season.
It's like Christmas music. You can't play Christmas music till December.
Yeah. So I pulled it out and played it with John. Oh, and I played it with Cherry too. And it's basically just a tile laying game, but you're building up your Christmas tree with different ornaments, and you want different patterns of ornaments depending on your objective cards. But you also have these gingerbread men in there. So if I put a gingerbread man in the middle of my tree, depending where his arms are pointing, he wants specific things. Like on his right arm, he wants like a candy. And on his left arm, he wants a red glass ball. And then on his legs, he wants like certain colored things too. And so if you can get all those things in those areas placed, you'll get a full like 18 points. But if you only get, say, an arm and a leg, like it just depends how many, like one thing will give you 4 points, two things will give you 8, and so on. So arranging around the gingerbread it kind of takes up a lot. But then your objective cards might want like 4 glass bulbs in a row, or all red bulbs in a row, or just candies. So you're kind of trying to organize all these things for the objectives, but the other thing you're trying to do is connect all these bulbs. Or these lights, sorry. Because on your card you'll have like a bulb, a candy, or a gingerbread man. But then on the corners of them you have these little lights that are half a light. So you're trying to connect those to the other color, like a blue light to another blue light. And those will give you points as well. So it's all kinds of, like, it's a little puzzly game, but so neat. And it's drafting. So I'm looking at a hand of cards, I'll place one on my tree, and then I pass that hand to the next player, and then I take theirs. So you know what's coming out, and you know what you're passing, and hoping that'll come back to you so you can place your perfect Christmas tree. And it's just a fun, nice little tile layer, but so glad I finally got to play it.
That's neat. Yeah.
So let's get into our top 9. Did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah. For Lee's mom, this was like a nostalgia game that was for her. She was talking about how she used to have a Crokinole board, and we ended up buying her one. And now this wouldn't fit in my gift baskets. Like,
no.
Those are a little bit big, and they can be a little bit pricey as well. So depending on your budget, this may not always work out. But it's a neat one. That's kind of a neat showpiece as well. And so I would say, my honorable mention would be like a Crokinole board.
Yeah, that's a good one. Everyone would love that for sure. I have one as well, and I picked Pandemic Rapid Response, which I don't even have yet, but you've talked about it, and I think it would be the perfect way to get somebody into the Pandemic series, just because it's quick playing, and it isn't, like you said, it's not actually like the real game, but it's a different way to get into it, and it's real time. So I think real time is a good way to get people into the hobby as well, because that's where it starts to be almost like a sport. And they have to like work together, or just, you know, and there's panic involved, and it's like, oh, and then if you accomplish it, you're like, wow, we really did something there. So that one for me was my honorable mention.
Nice. Perfect. So let's get into the list then. So my number 9. Now, in this one here, I'm really kind of thinking of my own family, like my grandmothers, my parents, my siblings, my aunts and uncles, like, because we're an Acadian family, and everybody in my family plays crib. It's like the family game. Everybody plays crib. When you're old enough to count to 15, that's when they start training you to learn to play crib, and they show no mercy. They just slaughter you. You know, none of this, I will let you win stuff while you're learning. And in fact, my family will play where if you don't count all your points, they get to steal it as well. So it's a little cutthroat. But and mostly lately, like, you will see crib boards nowadays that are so beautiful, that are half resin, half wooden board, and they're just gorgeous, and I love that. Also, I was at the Three Hills Books Three Hills. They have board games there, and this was the first time I saw a crib board that had 4 lanes. Yeah. So you could play 4 players competitive instead of in teams. I'm like, oh my God, I'm blown away. I need a 4-lane crib board that's half resin, half wood. But those are the type of board that are so beautiful, and they can be set up like almost as a showcase piece, or as an ornament or decoration almost, but that you don't always buy for yourself, right? So, and then of course the cards to go with it. There are some beautiful cards out there now, and when I was at the Three Hills Books, they have hundreds. Like, you have like all the Harry Potters, one for each house of the Harry Potters. You know, like you have like the 007, but like all really ornate looking game, like a deck of card. You know, like I personally own the Roxley Iron Spades, like just a really nice high quality deck of card with a beautiful crib board. I think that would be the most beautiful gift. And it would fit my gift basket. So that's my number 9, a crib board.
That's awesome. I love that idea too. And when you're talking about cards, I recently bought plastic cards. Now, they don't feel plastic. They feel like normal cards, but they can't really tear easy, and they can be wiped off. Oh, so nice. They shuffle so nice too. But they're called plastic, but they don't feel plastic. And they're my new favorite thing when I play just with normal cards.
Nice.
Awesome. So my number 9 is Codenames Duet. Now, this was made in 2017 by Vladimir Shavatel and Scott Eaton. Now, this is off Shavatel's main game, Codenames. And the reason I picked Codenames Duet is just if you're buying for a couple, this is, I think, the perfect date game. It's so fun, or just like, you know, a grandparent and a grandchild, or just 2 kids playing. It's such a neat game. Codenames as well is so fun. But this one, it's neat because you have to cooperate, and you're trying to communicate to each other certain words on this grid without them guessing the black word, or words that are not on the specific grid that you need them to guess. And it's so fun, I think. Like, I've played it tons of times, and I always have a good time. Sometimes we do terrible, and sometimes we do really well. But it's just, I don't know, I just really like this game. And it's just a basic, I'm sure everyone's heard of Codenames, but if you've never heard that there's a duet game, it's a little bit different than the main game, because obviously you can't see the same grid as them. You see the same grid, but you don't see the ones that you want them to guess, and they don't see the ones that you want to guess. You see neutral ones, but that's basically it. So that's my number 9, Codenames Duet.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Codename. I have 4 of them. I think the one the kids like the best is the Codename Simpsons.
Oh, really?
we have a great time with that one. Codename Harry Potter I got rid of because nobody knew the characters well enough to be kind of good at it. But yeah, no, that's a great pick. My number 8 is a game that I have probably gifted at this point to everybody I've been doing board games gift for. And that's Bang the Dice Game. So that one was published in 2015. It's created by Michael Palm and Lucas Zach. And I found this one on the Boardgame Bliss website. And it's really an inexpensive game. It's less than $20. But it is such a great game. The first time I brought this to Lee's mom and dad for Christmas, and we played it there, and we played it, I swear, at least a dozen times in a row. We didn't play any other games, because after we were done, they're like, okay, again. I was like, okay, again. Okay, let's do it again. Like, it was just so well received, and every time I've played this one, people have a blast with it. And it's really neat. It's a secret identity game, so everybody gets a card, and you're either going to be the sheriff. Now, if you're the sheriff, you will reveal that. Everybody knows you're the sheriff. And then you could be the deputy that's there to support the sheriff. But he doesn't know for sure who the deputy is. Then you'll have the outlaws, and then you can have the renegade as well. And you have these dice, and you'll roll the dice, and you can roll a dynamite, and that kind of freezes the dice. But if you ever roll 3 dynamites, it blows up, your turn's over, your dice are what they are, and then so you can still kind of use your other dice. But then you lose a life as well. You can roll a beer mug, and that is actually health. So you can keep that for yourself and heal yourself, or you could give it to somebody else who you think is on your team and it looks like they're struggling. Like, or maybe you're just bluffing and you're giving beer to the sheriff so that he thinks you're a deputy, but you're really the renegade. Then there's the 3 shots, like it's kind of like 3 bullet holes, and that's the Gatling guns. And if you roll 3 of those, everybody takes a shot except for yourself. And then if you roll the target that has a 1 in it, you can shoot a person 1 space away from you. So either to your left or to your right. If it's the target with the number 2, you can shoot the person that are 2 spaces away from you 1 time. So again, 2 spaces to your left or 2 spaces to your right. And if you ever roll a arrow, then you have to collect an arrow, and you can re-roll that dice. And it's Yahtzee style, you can roll up to 3 times. With the arrows, it doesn't cause any issues in the beginning, but if you roll arrows and you've collected the last one that was in the middle of the table, now everybody who has arrows have to return it to the middle of the table, and however many arrows they have, they take that much in health damage. And you're just trying to play. The sheriff is trying to kill the outlaws and the renegade. The renegade tries to be the last man standing. The outlaws need to kill the sheriff, and the deputy needs to help the sheriff in killing the outlaws and the renegade. It is just such a neat, fun game. And this is one that I just love to give as a gift. Not, in the general public, not everybody has this one, or heard of it really, and it's just so much fun. So that's my number 8, Bang the Dice Game.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's funny. A friend just asked me today, what's a good game for 12 people? Can that one play 12? Do you know?
It plays up to 8. 3 to 8.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
12 is a lot of people. I was kind of struggling with 12, just something that you'd have 2 teams with, kind of thing. But that's a really good one. My number 8 is another game that has beer on the dice, just like Bang, but it's Dice Miner. This is
yeah.
I think this is the new Yahtzee. This is the best way to roll dice, and you gather these dice as you're just drafting them from a mountain, and you're trying to do all different kinds of things with them. You're trying to make runs with all the white dice. You're trying to collect gems, as many as you can, with the green dice maybe, and then yellow dice. And then you're trying to collect either like treasure chunks, or you might want to collect magic, which will let you re-roll your dice. You want to collect shields and shovels if there are like dragons or explosions in the mountain, because if you have those and you don't have the shields and shovels, then you have negative points. So it's just all kinds of things that you're collecting. And then at the end of the round, you can use your magic to re-roll to try and get better stuff. And then you score points. And then you get to re-roll all those dice again and leave them. And then they add to your next round that you're drafting from the mountain. And it's just so fun and such a quick game. But the dice rolling, and then if you have a beer, which I just talked about, it's cool because then you roll it and give it to somebody else. Then you get to grab 2 dice off the mountain. So it's just a fun, easy dice chucker that I think would go well with most people. They would, and I think it can play at, maybe it might only go up to 4, but you could kind of go in teams with this one if you had a bigger group too. But yeah, that's my number 8, Dice Miner.
Nice. And that one has such a beautiful table presence as well, with like the mountain that holds all the dice.
Yeah.
Very good. My number 7. Now this one is more like for families with young children is what I'm thinking. And that's Dr. Eureka. So Dr. Eureka was created in 2015. And actually I found it on the Walmart, like the Canada Walmart website. Walmart, I gotta say, like they're becoming more and more up. Have like better games all the time, so it's always worth to kind of have a look because you just never know. That's where we got the Bag of Chips, which is an amazing game. They're just getting more and more, so it's worth looking. But Dr. Eureka, now I'm saying young children, obviously not a child that's young enough that would choke on the marbles,
right?
So that will be old enough. I would guess elementary age. Probably. But this is just a neat puzzly game. And I'm a big believer that you should play games with your children, but you should play games with the children that are games you would enjoy yourself. Because otherwise you're not going to want to play. And Dr. Eureka is a great one. Actually, I've played it tons. Now, I was kind of going through all the different kids' game. You know, like there's Outfox that gets talked about, but I don't have young children, so I haven't really played a lot of those. Dr. Eureka, even though I don't have young children, this is a game that we still play all the time. Like it works great for adults. It works great for, I think, like as I said, elementary age children. Now, is it possible that they would struggle more than you would? Yeah, but I think it just develops a great skill as well and kind of the problem solving of how to get the marble in the order that you need to without touching them and just kind of moving them from beaker to beaker. And it's just a fun, bright, and just the tactile component of it and moving the thing. So I think that's great. So that's my number 7, Dr. Eureka.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for kids and adults, you said. I have to try this one. All right, my number 7 is one that I chose basically for a family. But could also go up to a gamer as well because it can be played in different ways. And this is Isle of Cats, made in 2019 by Frank West. This has a family version to it where you are just basically taking the tiles and just placing them out onto your ship. Now, if you want to up the complexity a bit, you can play the harder version where you are drafting cards, and that is how you will be able to buy your cats or your baskets and have more money to be able to rescue the cats to put on your boat. So it can ramp up different complexities, but it's such a nice tile laying game. It's so pretty and it's beautiful with all the different colored cats. The boats are really nice. And then you have these little fish that are your currency. I think it would be perfect for younger kids as well. Younger, again, I'm saying elementary. The Tetrisy part of it kind of taps into some math skills, but if you're a tile layer, if you're a gamer who loves tile laying, this is a must-have, I feel. And that was my number 7, Isle of Cats.
Wonderful. My number 6 is Patchwork, and that's my couples entry, I guess. And then specifically the Patchwork Christmas edition. And that one you can actually find on 401 Games right now. This one was published in 2014. Maybe not this edition, but Patchwork was created in 2014. And it is such a neat game to play. You're collecting these pieces of fabric, they're actually cardboard, but fabric that you're trying to fit into the tableau to create this quilt. And they're all these odd shaped things. And sometimes the more intricate shape, the cheaper it is in time, because each of these pieces are going to cost you in time and buttons. And if it costs you a lot of time, I guess it makes sense, right? Intricate piece, you would have more sewing to do. So, but actually they're normally cheaper in time because they're going to cost you and having to try to fit them in. But then it's always the person that's behind that gets to go next. So if you get a piece that moves you very far ahead, then you're going to have to wait a while and they're going to be collecting piece after piece. And sometimes that's frustrating. It's like, oh my God, stop taking all these good pieces and let it be my turn again. But, and it's just the cost of it. And then every time you'll pass like this kind of section where you get to collect buttons, because buttons are your currency in this game. And then when you pass that certain section, you get to collect however many buttons you have on your quilt. So if you keep going for the cheap pieces, most of the times those ones don't have buttons, and then you may end up where you have no currency. If that ever happens, it's your turn and you have no money to buy any pieces, you can just skip right to the space ahead of the other player, and however many space you move forward, you get that much in buttons. But you just wasted a lot of time not putting pieces into your quilt. It's just so neat. And there's a bunch of different version now, so it's table presence wise, it's beautiful, and the Christmas one is just gorgeous as well. So that's my number 6, Patchwork Christmas.
That is a perfect gift. I can't believe I left that one off my list. Because that is an awesome one to give to anyone as well. Such a good game. Good choice. All right, my number 6 is Cascadia. This is made in 2021 by Randy Flynn, and this is another tile layer, and also I believe a family game that can be played in different complexities as well. You can just ignore the scoring cards and just go for the areas of like trying to get your animals in groups of areas. But it's always nice, I think, for most people to use the scoring cards and be able to score the animals and the different patterns that you put them in as well. It's such a pretty game. The tiles are just cardboard, but the little animal tiles are wooden, and how you draft them is you draft one together, like in sets. And if you want to split it up and do a different one, you can pay your acorn, which you can collect on other tiles. But if you keep them throughout the game, then they're worth a point at the end. This one is very simple rules. You could literally teach in minutes and get to the table. You can play this anywhere because it's tiling again, so you don't have cards that could fly away. I think it's probably the most accessible family game that I probably have on my list that would be taught the easiest in the shortest amount of time, and it's just beautiful and simple but still fun, and fun for gamers as well. And that's my number 6, Cascadia.
Nice. My number 5 is a style of game that I just love. I so enjoy the exit games, or the unlock, or the exit the game. It's for me like I think from a lot of people it replaces the murder mystery night that people used to have, right? It's going through an escape room but at home. And depending on the one you have, sometimes the exit ones, the game gets destroyed as you go. The unlock one, you can just reset the cards and pass it on to the next player. I just love the whole experience trying to make it through the puzzle. And what exits come up with recently that I think just makes it perfect as a Christmas gift is the Exit Advent Calendar. Now, I haven't played any of them. It's, I would love to have one of those. I just haven't done one myself. So I don't know if it's 24 separate experience, like kind of separate puzzle, or if it's one that just kind of evolves as you go through. Either way, I love the idea. I've done the puzzle one where it was 6 sections that had like a jigsaw puzzle in it. And that one was really neat as well. But this is one that I just think it's a gamer's advent calendar. Can it get any better? And that's my number 5. And I did find this one at Pandora's Books. which you can purchase online from them as well. So that's my number 5. Exit Advent Calendar.
Awesome. That's my number 5 as well. And I actually put exit/unlocks. So, but I do have, Cherry's been doing the advent calendar because she was off work for a couple weeks and she has 3 of them, I think. So I'm like, why don't you do one of them now? And then, so you don't have like 3 to do in December. So she's slowly been going through it. And she said like the puzzles are like, they're quite simple each day, but you do like a puzzle each day. And then supposedly at the end, you kind of use all that information to solve, like do the big solve. So she's enjoying it. And I will definitely have to try one. I don't know that I'll get one this year to start, but it looks interesting. Maybe I will go out and buy one before the first. We got a couple of days here left.
Yeah, exactly.
We're recording this before.
Be cool.
But yeah, no, I might have to go and grab one of those because it's she said it's really neat. And I'm usually not that great. I mean, alone at the exits. I need to do them with people. And I think it's more fun to do with people, or just even one other person is perfect for these too. Like 2 people, 3 max.
Yeah,
I find
after you
get too many people, then you're like grabbing cards and stuff. But they are awesome. And so we synced up on that one. That was my number 5 as well.
Perfect. Well, we kind of synced up with my number 4 also. And my number 4 is Cascadia. Now, I found this one at Meeples and Milkshake. And I just find Cascadia is just suitable for such a wide range of people. My brother is a very avid gamer. Like, and he's like one of those, I don't know, almost a snobby gamer. Like, he likes his games that have great ratings. You know, like the very well acclaimed Jarl's Winners type games, right? And Cascadia, he loves. There's a whole campaign version of this that you can go through, and that's what him and my sister-in-law have been doing, and it's like his most favorite game right now. But it's also a fairly simple, straightforward game to learn and play that somebody just getting into the hobby can also play. I just like how it would be suitable for kind of any level of gamers. And it's just such a neat looking game as well. And it's easy to get to the table. It plays fairly quickly. It's just very accessible. So that's my number 4, Cascadia.
Awesome. My number 4 is another dice chucker. And that is Las Vegas. Las Vegas Royale would be the one you could buy now, but it's the same game basically, and that's made in, the main basic one was made in 2012 by Rudiger Dorn, but the newer version, Las Vegas Royale, was made in 2019. This one is such a fun one with a big group too, because, and this would be kind of the party game on this list, but I think it would be a good one for anyone to play. Anybody who you can even just get to a table to do something will like this game. You are just rolling dice and trying to place it on different casinos so that you can gain money from each of the casinos if you have the most dice on. So it's just a basic area control game, but how it's played is so neat because you can only place one number of dice each round. So if you roll all your dice and you have 4 4s, you can place those 4 4s on one thing. You could place just 2 of them if you want. But it's just so fun because then on the next person's turn, they will go and they will, of course, if you're on a spot where it has the highest amount of money, they are going to place their dice. And with this newer version, each place you go to has different things as well that they want you to accomplish, so that there's different ways you can also get more money and more dice and things like that. And it's so fun, and it's one of those games that I think should be in everyone's collection, this one, just because it can be played so many different times. Even a 2-player game of this is fun, but a big group, it's so much fun. And that's my number 4, Las Vegas Royale.
Yeah, that is a good one. I didn't think of that one. My number 3 is Project L. I found that one at the gamers table. And you know what? I gotta say, I'm surprised. It's a lot cheaper than I thought it was. This game is so cool. And what I like about this one is everyone is familiar with this one. because everybody's played Tetris. And this kind of feels like Tetris turned into board game, and you have these pieces that you can get. And then on your turn, you can upgrade the piece to kind of get a slightly bigger, more intricate piece. And you're trying to kind of complete these patterns to gain cards. And I've only played it the once, and I know it's like when I was like, okay, if I ever come across this is coming home. I loved it. And then there's always the piece that you can kind of bring in and upgrade your pieces. But it was so neat. It was so fun. And then just because the pieces, and I'm not sure if it was like Kickstarter versus retail, but these ones all had like the actual plastic Tetris shaped piece. Like they're nice, satisfying pieces to play with. Yeah. But yeah, so that's my number 3, Project L.
That's a really good one. I left that one off my list as well. I do have the big Kickstarter version, but the base version does come with those acrylic tiles. Oh, good. It just doesn't have the game trays and the expansions and everything. So, I mean, even that base game, you get those acrylic tiles. I'm 99% sure, because I don't think they even made it with cardboard. I think it's just those tiles, which are so satisfying to like place them in and make them fit perfect. And then the cool thing is when you finish that little tiny puzzle, you get all those pieces back to make more puzzles. Yeah, no, that's an awesome choice. Very good. And yeah, everybody's played Tetris or knows something about it. And I don't know why Tetris is so satisfying, but it's almost like a zen. Really is. You get into a zen when you can just complete something with different shapes. Yeah, it's so weird whoever discovered that, but that's a really good one. My number 3 is my worker placement game that I have on my list. And this I find is a very good introduction to it, and it's a beautiful game, and that's Parks, made in 2019 by Henry Audubon. This one is easy to introduce to people because who doesn't want to look at national parks and beautiful art of them on these big tarot-sized cards? While you're doing that, you're just walking along this trail and collecting all these cute little wooden resources of sunshine, water, mountains, trees. And then there's all these little wild animals that are wild tokens, thematically. So cool. I have actually just purchased stickers to put on them that make them look 3D almost, or make them pop out more. They kind of have like a black outline of everything, and they look so neat. But this game is so pretty, and it'll always be in my collection. I'm hoping they will eventually add some Canadian national parks into the cards, because I'd love to see the art on all those. But this one I think would be a really good one to give to people, and it can be played with families, gamers, all kinds. And that's my number 3, Parks.
Yeah, that's a neat one for sure. My number 2, I went with kind of the current pop culture, I guess. Me and Lee and Lily have been watching the entire Stranger Things season. We just finished season 3, months ago now, and it's going to be, I think it's 2024 before the next season comes. So we're like, really? Are you kidding? Oh my God, I don't know if I can wait that long. But it's a series that we loved. In fact, me and Lee one Halloween dressed up as Stranger Thing. I was the mom with the phone, and he was the wall with the light and the alphabet. But it's just a neat one. So because we're so involved into this whole series and the story of it, I think one of the perfect gift would be Stranger Thing: Attack of the Mind Flayer. And this is actually one that I found at Pimetaway game store in Edmonton. So with this one, you know what? It's going to be Lily's gift. I don't think she listens to my podcast, so it's safe. So Lee's in Edmonton right now for meetings. Oh. So I had Pimetaway deliver it to the hotel he's staying at. Oh, awesome. So it's coming. I'm super excited. But this one here is a secret identity game. So everybody gets a character card, and you're one of the characters from the series of Stranger Things. And then you get another card that tells you whether you're still sane or whether the Mind Flayer has taken over. And then each round you're going to be trying to, as the like as a sane person, you're going to try to stay sane, but as the ones that have kind of gone insane is under the control of the mind flayer, you're trying to either knock down or kind of convert the sane people, but you don't really know who's who. I have really no idea how it plays. I haven't played it yet. I was just reading a description on it. But at the end of the game, if there's still one single sane person in the group, the sane players have won. So it just sounds really interesting. It sounds like an intricate version of, Werewords or Secret Hitler or something like that. But just because it's based on that theme of that series we've been enjoying so much, I'm just so excited about that. So that's my number 2. Stranger Thing Attack the Mind Flayer.
Awesome. I didn't even know that was coming out, the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. Let's hope she doesn't listen to this. Watch her one time listen to this.
If she does, Lily, act surprised.
Yeah. Awesome. My number 2 is kind of a crossover, but mine's a more general form of it. Now, you had said Crokinole, but I am suggesting Michaud Games. Now, this is a Canadian company that was started in 1984, and they design all these beautiful wooden games. And games are like Rummy Tile, Crokinole, beautiful crib boards. They have a Go board, a sequence board. They have tons and tons of games, and every year they add a few new ones. And you can order them from there. The shipping isn't too bad. Their prices are unreal for the beautiful wood, like they're huge wooden boards, and they barely raised their prices since 1984. And so they come to our market here in Red Deer, like our craft market in, was it October? I think they were here. And the last couple of years they didn't come because of COVID. So this year I go to this market just hoping to see them because I always want to buy one a year for my family and just kind of collect them over the years. So they hadn't come for 2 years, so I ended up buying 3 this year. I said, well, I gotta catch up. But they're so beautiful. I bought 2 as gifts. I have to be quiet because my husband's listening, I think. But one I bought for my daughter and her partner, and they love to play crib, and so I bought them a beautiful crib board. So I guess it's kind of another crossover. But and then I got for our family a tile rummy. So it has these wooden boards where you put your tiles on, and they're all unique. Like you get 4 of them. But I think they would be perfect for like a couple, like their first Christmas or something. You could engrave on there their name or something, and they're just so nice. But if no one's ever heard of these, you have to go onto their website and look at their games. And I asked them when I was at the market, I said, how do you keep the price down? Like they're like 65, 70, I think maybe 80 is the max for these beautiful games, which they could charge twice that easily. Easy. But he said, because it's a family that makes them, and the son was there, and he's probably maybe he's in his 20s. And I said, how do you guys keep the price down? Especially with wood right now. Wood is nuts. I don't know if it's just here in Canada, but it's like outrageous, the price of wood now. And he said, it's just efficiency. We plunk them out so fast now. We know how to get things like the whole family that builds them, like all the sons and the dad, they make these boards, and it's just beautiful. You have to check out their website, but it's called Michaud Games, and all of these games are beautiful. Some of them are like really simple games, like they have some chess boards, checkerboards, all those kind of things, but every year they come out with something new. And this year, what was their new one? They had a game, and some of them they'll have like travel ones that'll have one game on one side and you flip it over and they have another. So there's 2 games. So this one had horse race on one side, and then on the other side was a drinking game where it was like truth or dare, or like all these different things that you had to kind of like a snakes and ladders, but a drinking version. So and it was all really colorful and beautiful. But they just
those are the kind of games that becomes heirlooms later on, right? That gets passed down.
They're timeless, right? And they're
exactly
like, I mean, wooden games. They don't really age. So you have to check those out. But that's my number 2, Michaud Games.
Wonderful. My number one, I went with Dice Throne. Now, I personally have the Dice Throne big, which is, what do they call them now? The big box ones. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah,
the battle chess.
Oh, okay.
Battle chess? Maybe battle chess.
I was thinking.
So you can buy the battle chess that has 8 different characters. Mm-hmm. And you can, now I know those were Kickstarters. I don't know if they're just readily available like that in retail, but you can purchase them where it's just 2 characters. And that's all you need when you play 1 versus 1. And that's the best way to play it. So you just the 2 characters that you can play. And then they've recently come out with the Marvel Dice Throne. So putting it into that IP that everybody knows and love just makes it that much more exciting and entertaining and interesting to play. And this is one that I think just, again, kind of just fits in a lot of different entry level. It's, you know, with young kids, you just play without the cards and it's an easy dice chucking game. For somebody who's been into the board game, you know, and play lots of different games, this one has so much appeals because the component is great, the artwork is great, and the game is fun. But somebody who's new into the hobby, this is an easy game to pick up as well. And I actually found this one on the Indigo or Chapters website, so they do have it there as well. And I just think that that's an easy one to please a large crowd. So that's my number one, Dice Throne or Marvel Dice Throne.
Awesome. My number one is one I actually just recommended. A friend texted me the other day and said, what's a good game for a certain price range? And it was like a work gift. And this is one I think it would be easy to give to anyone. It's beautiful. Just looking at the box is beautiful. Taking it out on the table is beautiful. It could just be, I actually have a runner of the game. I bought a game mat. And I used to set it on my table as a runner. That's how pretty it is.
Nice.
And that game is Azul. I've picked Azul by Michael Kiesling, made in 2017. I just love this game. It's simplicity, but still, it's a tile laying game, but it's an abstract strategy game, so it can be played 2 to 4 players. But it's just such a, I feel like it'll be an evergreen, where it'll be around 20 years from now. They've made different versions of it. This one I still find is the best, although there is a chocolate version coming out. So it's called Azul Chocolatiers, which is basically this game, but it just looks like chocolates. It has like one little twist of it. Of course, I'm going to have to try that one. But even just the colors in this one, I think this helps too. It actually matches my decor of my house, so it just feels perfect for me. But it's just so beautiful, and I love the play of it. Some people go back and forth that they get sick of this game, or some just absolutely love it. But I will always love this game, and I'll play it anytime anybody asks. And that's my number one, Azul.
Yeah, that's a good pick, because it is an interesting play, but it's also a really neat looking game, and the components are satisfying to play with.
Yeah.
So it's that whole, it's just the full package, right? Great pick. That's it for the list. Now next week we're doing episode 46, and I forget which one that is, Carla.
We're doing a whole gift series for the next 3, including this one. The next one is party games. We'll be talking about party games for the holidays or anytime you're having a party, but I love to play party games. That's kind of how I started as a gamer, I would say, other than playing games, Monopoly and mass market games. But as young adults, we always played party games, and it was just the funnest memories and the funnest times, and sometimes the simplest game, but so many good ones and so many modern ones now that they've come out with. Yeah. That it'll be a fun list.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this one as well. It's just, you know what? Everybody needs at least one great party game in their library. It's just such a great way to have people come together and kind of break down the barriers and just have a good time and have fun.
Yeah.
And mostly around the holidays. Yeah,
exactly. Asking what are some good party games? I'm like, well, you'll have to stay tuned in a week. No, I didn't say that. I gave him some options, but Yeah.
I like it. Promote us. That's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. So if anybody wants to find you, where can we find you, Carla?
I'm on Instagram at Boardgame Specialist, all one word, and on Facebook at Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. What about you?
Well, first of all, we do now have a Discord channel. So both me and Carla are very active on there. So it's a great way. Actually, I've been enjoying it. We've set it up just this weekend. And I'm enjoying it because you're getting like that back and forth, that interaction. So, which we were already kind of doing with a small group of us. So, but having everybody involved that wants to kind of take part of the conversation, and I'm really enjoying it. So be sure to check us out on Discord. We'll be sure to add the link into the comment. On Instagram, I am Mel's_boardgame_room. On Facebook, you can find me at Mel's Board Game Room, and my YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room.
Yeah, you should really check out Discord. A bunch of us have posted our collections on there, so it's really cool to see a bunch of different collections on the pictures.
One of us needs an intervention.
Yeah.
I don't think Ashley's going to sleep. You'll have to go on and look at this picture. It's hilarious. I laughed when I saw it. I was like, okay, we need to go there.
But the funniest part is this person. I can't always tell if, like, just by the username, like if I should say he or she or them or whatever, but this person is totally fine with it. Because one of our friends is like, this gives me anxiety. And the person's like, actually, I'm totally fine with it. I'm okay. So if you're okay with it, then that's totally fine. I'm just glad that you're okay with it.
It was great. I love that picture. I laughed a lot when I saw that. That was great. Wonderful. So thanks so much for tuning in this week, and be sure to come again next week for the party game. So bye, everybody.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening.